All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is another video from me, Not to Gyro Troll 23, and now the title of this video is 225 USD Lesson: Losing My Virginity at 24 by Pay for Play. This is again the second video on this series I called Notes on the Black Pill, August 7th, 2025, where we'll discuss my experience by basically paying for play and why you should do it, why you shouldn't do it, benefits that I noticed, which I believe might be useful for you to make the decision, and of course, other things that I noted throughout my, I guess, exploration of sexuality, and of course, from a black hole perspective, why you might need to do it. The agenda for today is uh, compared to the first video that I made. It's quite different. This is now an official anecdote, my rating the YouTube comment that I made, and hence for why I decided to make this video to, I guess, to explain it more thoroughly. Why I decided for this benefits that I noticed, as I previously explained, well, I previously mentioned, drawbacks if any. The case against this is, are you demisexual? I know a very big word from the LGBT plus community, but it's just something that I believe it's very important um, to to mention for the discussion of this. Final thoughts and references, if any. All right, so to basically begin, the reason why I made this and why I decided to do this is from the comment that I made on one of the Philippe's videos, another, I guess, prominent black pill creator, if you will, on the manosphere. And he 3 weeks ago he published a brief survey about this. Reading it as verbatim. In your opinion, what's the best solution for an average guy in 2025? Uh, for options, surgery maxing, geomaxing, and paying for sex, give up. Surgery maxing in this case is 34%, geomaxing is 20%, gym maxing is 18%, and paying for sex and give up are 28% of the around 28 of 280 votes. Given that paying for sex and slash give up are counted the same option, of course, that gives a lot of room for interpretation of which is the more, I guess, representative statistic. But it's quite safe to say that given that many people are still, I guess, playing the cards that they're dealt, paying for sex is like the last resort option. So I guess just should be very generous. I'll say that it's just 10% of the votes in general, which basically 28 votes, including mine, in which and I began to describe the my experience in which Philippe actually replied back. Uh, the reading it says. Uh, 3 weeks ago again. I already paid for sex last week. Frankly, I'm glad to get it out of my system and felt much more relief. It may sound corny, but it's not as spectacular than you think. It is physically demanding, which I did not expect to be that demanding, but learned much from it. I've concluded that many men want the connection prior to the copulation, like a romantic conquest, and uh, like a begin quote romantic conquest and quote that makes the woman validate their entire being with the provision of sex. And in my case, I just get aroused easily regardless of that. What I found extremely found funny is that the escort was looking at me like, quote, you really haven't had the chance. You are good looking, what the fuck, end quote, of three laughing emojis. And that eased the tension of my first time. For context, I have strong facial features, a warrior skull, and nice eyes. I'm 5 feet 10, and the girl was like 5 feet 8. But yeah, uh, again, going to the rightmost, the rightmost screenshot. But yeah, if you tend to get emotionally attached to feel strong sexual arousal, then do not pursue further. And the only edit that I made for clarification, I'm currently 24, go figure. And Philippe replied back, based. I never understood incels who remain virgins until their 30s, etc., and refuse to ever pay. Ego, I guess. If you're not truly desired, you will have to pay in one way or another. Although the screenshot and actually YouTube doesn't show this, I replied him back with basically stating my point of the second paragraph that I've written, which is basically the same. Yeah, I just believe that it's just an ego thing too, which I do agree with Philippe's assessment of the situation. But in general, and the way I'm recalling this is just, and even in the tone of voice that I made, that I'm doing this, excuse me, it's honestly felt very much liberating and very fun. Like I never had that much amount of fun in a while. I know it's part of the like job for her of the escort, but I mean, as stated before, like it's very hard to deny at this point that even in that case that that'll not help out, to the escort to be more permissive to me. I actually remember now that the girl was telling me that she was basically giving me a lot of patience, given that it was my first time, because she find me very attractive. She was like, honestly, I don't give a damn. Like, I can suck you off for free. It's like, oh yeah, let's go. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. She was my age too, so I guess that kind of helped to understand both of us. But yeah, as it's stated here, the experience was a very positive experience in my case. And although, yeah, you could say that I'm a fake cell, that maybe I'm not that as the way I was describing to, but it's one of those things that, of course, I mean, I'm not gonna blackmail her on just a blackmail video. It's super stupid, and I frankly very irresponsible on my part. But it was an alleyway that I never thought I'd take, but after that, honestly, it gave me a lot of different perspectives that I believe are worth sharing right now. Why I decided for the P for play, excuse me, pay for play experience, and in ordering in a priority from the most important to the less important. Although I highlighted in red one thing you must consider if you want to pursue this. And anyways, the number one, it's very highly video that clouded my judgment. As I stated on my first video regarding, the title, my acne story, uh, on my hormones spurred of my pubescent years, my body suffered a lot of extreme and recoiling changes such as acne, and seeing it from a very genetical perspective and henceforth sexual selection perspective, it's quite, I believe my money is on the fact that, and I wholeheartedly believe that my amount of developed testosterone innate in my body also altered, besides of course acne, my libido, and basically my sexual arousal, my horniness, if you will. This may sound like I'm basically like suffering from success, but if you really are willing to like you really desire to have high testosterone, this is one of the things you must consider, that your libido will be basically controlling your penis. And in middle school, given that many are basically uncomfortable within their own bodies, you may, I don't know how many times, sometimes I must basically try to bulge my balls, to not to lessen the appearance of my erection, or try to basically behave myself when I see a girl with a very fat ass, which in Mexico are quite common regardless of the pretty face. I mean, I was still ignoring my body, so even I knew that was a very annoying thing to have. So this is one of those things you must consider if you are unironically want to become a high testosteronic value man. The number two, and this is, I believe, one of the most alarming things that I noticed too, is that I masturbate almost on a daily basis. I didn't had any problems with erections and stuff, but masturbating, in the way I concluded this, is that my case, it numbed my penis. Basically, it's accustomed now to the grip that I have. So that's something that one of the experts told me, and of course that really scared me. So at this point, I wanted to decide what's going on. If that's gonna help. To an extent, it did, in the sense that it basically lessened my appetite to masturbate, because assuming, like, thinking in a very long term point of view, if I ever get into an LTR, a long term relationship, it'll be quite a very, I believe, a very contentious point in a relationship. So I don't want to have sexual problems and being basically sexually senile very young. So that's something. Of course, to no one's surprise, like of romantic sexual slash sexual success, I'm not. I believe I put that very succinctly. I'll not describe further. And the number four in my case, as previously stated on my acne story video, is that I already invested a lot in my looks, like monetary wise. So in a way, I'm already paying, if you will, to increase my chance of sexual selection. And you want to go even to the more pragmatical utilitarian point of view. Everyone pays to an extent. If you consider nutrition as part of your looks maxing journey on, ironically, although to the vast majority of us is basically a way to not starve ourselves to death, you are basically paying for the privilege to at least be accounted for in a dating market. Henceforth, you making an investment, whether you want to accept it or not. You can blame a capitalistic view on that, but as far as we can call, as far as we can analyze, you are to an extent paying because also that affects the way you look. So by definition, everyone pays. For me, that's a case in close debate. Of course, besides moral, legal, ethical implications, I believe it's even a more honest, if I do say so myself, a more honest way to just see things. And finally, of course, is a financial net with my current job and some investments that I have. So it's not like it's getting a huge toll on my money or that desperate to basically paying an escort like every day, 24/7. It's just stupid. Benefits that I noticed after basically losing my V card. Number one that I always had is an anxious take of biting my nails, which now all of a sudden have stopped. I don't know why, but it's just I don't feel the need anymore to bite my nails. And well, now that I think about it in retrospect, it might be that like, my inner monologue, my inner dialogue was basically pressing me like, what about not doing this to get your chances? And after I guess after I committed an ego death of sorts by paying for sex, uh, because that's subconsciously conscious uh, reminder that I had on the back of my head has stopped the necessity to basically force myself to compensate one way or to pipe, if you will, to pipe down or pipe up, if you will, the the anxiousness of basically me being a virgin, which I guess it's a good thing. But I put it on top because it's the only thing that I noticed now that I don't feel the urge anymore. Besides the actual urge to bite my nails, the urge to like act for actual the sexual appetite, my lustful thoughts now don't come frequently, which is a very good thing. And this is besides porn, as that I noticed blowjobs do arouse me as I thought that it would be in porn. I don't want to go too sexual because I believe that's gonna make you do very mad, which is kind of screwed up. But I mean, what can we do besides speaking? Blowjobs do arouse me. I received one natural. My God, felt if I would have paid for that, I would just be like, just suck me off. Not gonna say anything more, nothing less. It do arouse me. It's one of the things I'll never renounce as a man. Getting a dick sucked is the best thing ever. And to the credit of this, now I feel more nonchalant with women. I guess it's because now I to an extent satisfy my sexual needs as previously stated. Now I don't feel like the necessity to man up or one up myself to court a woman, which we know is basically a fool's errand, losing strategy when you're dealing with women. Because as we know, if you look good, if you already been preselected, and it's up to you, I guess, at least from a Mexican perspective, in my accounts, and of course my personal experiences, you can debate me on this. Is the fact that yeah, you can operate and basically to play it easy, if you will. Drawbacks, if any, the number one again is the financial cost. Putting it in perspective, in my case, it costs around 30% of my weekly paycheck if I decide to play once per week. You can guess that it's basically will drain my wallet in the long run. So it's like more of a luxury, if you will, which I find funny because most of the listings on the skirt side that I used, uh, you know, they explicitly mentioned they don't want, basically very skinny guys. But as I stated in my first video, like the paycheck that I get compared to the Americans is basically peanuts. But for a guy living here with my parents and basically getting my capital up, if you will, like my assets, if financially speaking. Of course, there'll be a huge toll on my money if I don't have if that's my main source of income, my job. But yeah, I mean that's a cost that I'm willing to bear. Like I just wanted to experiment, which in my case, as you could see, it has given me a very good return on investment, more than I actually thought. And if I can call another drawback besides just filler, is the fact that it generally made me reconsider if pursuing a relationship is really what I want. In one of the most recent videos of a very good channel, Martin Goldberg, shout out to Martin Goldberg. You have very good, nuanced takes on this. Very, very good storyteller too. Thank you. Kudos from Mexico, Brofist. On this video, request my view of cope. There's one coming from Water Bottle 1236, which also he made 3 weeks ago, quite recently compared to the debut of the video, which he states, I'm going through a part of my life where I have to decide between more love or more freedom. I think I'll take more freedom. Fundamentally, it's up to all of us to decide what we are willing to compromise with. What do you want to do with your life? And this is exactly how it felt after, I guess, finally lifting the veil of my eyes about sex. It is quite physically demanding. So like that also helps, I guess, with the separating the porn, because they're performing, but I didn't expect it to be that demanding. So that's a good thing to know. To I guess to get my feet on the ground, ironically enough. But this is one thing that I wanted to focus a little bit on this, because if you're really focusing on the aspect about and try not to like gaslight yourself, you do realize that most people, mostly men than women to an extent, but at least men are more men are more open about what they want, but they always pull down to sex. This is something you must consider, and I also considered this too. So it's something that generally resonate with now after basically having sex is if this is worth it, to pursue. Which in my case, I believe I'll take more. I'm a heart of hearts. I'll take more freedom. But if a girl that I've had very good sexual romantic chemistry has, even financial to an extent, intellectually, of course I'll take it. And of course she looks objectively attractive. That's the best thing that I could get. But assuming how things are, both Mexico, USA, and the rest of the world, I'm basically on a losing errand for that if I ever wait for the one. But that's something you must consider. It may genuinely make you reconsider your life choices in a very good and bad way. In my case, it was very bad because I thought that I already passed by that, I guess, teenage angst, but after basically satisfying, ironically, a very teenage urgency that I had, it's something that I made me ponder to basically go back to those days and try to reflect on what I must do now afterwards, and basically not become a deadbeat in my case. The main case against doing all of this, wait, the pay for play, is are you demisexual? I know a very goofy word that many guys don't like on the manosphere because it's one of the weird sexuality things. But by the definition, is basically, do you need a romantic connection first to get sexually aroused? Basically, gaslight a woman that you love her, but in reality you want to sleep with her. This is something you must understand. Like, be honest with yourself. Many guys, assuming the things that we've seen in videos that I've seen about this topic, to guess to reinforce the fact that I believe I made the best that I could get with my situation, not as an excuse to just give up and basically like lose the investment that I made to my face, but also to generally, just to feel more, I guess, in tune with myself. Being demisexual is one thing that I believe those guys have when they say that, oh, I don't want to pay for sex because it's not genuine, bro. Well, that's just for degenerates, bro. But they always go, on the same errands, and they are actually more repressed sexually than people think. But anyways, being demisexual, as in the Oxford Language Dictionary definition and provided by the Google Quick Search, is basically experiencing sexual feelings and attraction only after developing a close emotional relationship and not on the basis of first impressions, physical characteristics, etc. AKA, you want, I guess, the emotional development, the romantic conquest. Like, yeah, bro, as I stated in my first comment, yeah, bro, I want, you see that girl? She slept with me, bro, because she loves me. It's like, cool, okay, like, cool for you. That's the first time. Congratulations, I mean it. No ill intentions to you. But the way people say it, or at least the way as I reenacted a very satirical representation, which I hopefully is just that, is that they, I feel that they are saying it from a very naive, a very naive alphaistic, if you will, a very alpha-esque approach to the situation, because that's the only way they get desire. And let's face it, female validation gets you high. Doesn't matter how manly a guy is. Even my mama told me that, which I do agree with now. You will basically bend the knees. You will bend your knees because you like that particular woman. Which, assuming that everything else goes very good to you, which I do hope so, it's fine, great. But be honest. Is this what you want? Or you really want sex, or you really want the, I guess, the build up for that? I don't remember exactly which video I saw, which one of the few guys that again I guess concluded the same thing as mine, but he said in a very, I guess, very like a very shock ass factor. Uh, he was quite ventilating on the videos, like sex wasn't as impressive as I thought. I actually like the build up more. It's like, so basically, to an extent, it, you are demisexual if that's the case. I don't, because I get aroused either way. I just like the female body, and if it's a female body that it's very pretty on the face, it's like, dude, give me fries with that, you know. But yeah, the only case that I'll generally pursue, that I'll generally put again as my main counterpoint, is that you're really this guy that wants to build up first as the ultimate validation by the provision of sex from the woman that you to an extent manipulated. This is what you want, because honestly, it's not as spectacular as it said. It feels good, but to say that it was, I put it at a very high regard, admittedly. So assuming that many guys here even are this naive, I don't recommend you to pursue further if you believe on, I guess, on the playbook, on the old playbook of this. As you see here, like, this is exactly what you want. I mean, I understand you, but be honest. You want the connection for the sex, or you want the sex as a means of validation? That's one of the things you must understand. Either way, you must disconnect one way or the other, because you're gonna get your heart broken. Final thoughts on this. The number one, and I guess the main conclusion of this, is pay for play if done with your mind, heart, and genitals on the right places, aka being on harmony and symphony, can be a very joyful experience. That's period. In my hearts of hearts, it felt very good, very nice. Never felt more playful with women before. Of course, with respect and limits, and with protection. Felt nice. Felt good. I don't know, no comments there. I love that. Best experience of my life. The other one, which I must emphasize, is to stop masturbating frequently. I'll say without the porn thing, but given that many of you guys are very horny, I believe the problem is not necessarily getting aroused with porn, is the fact that your physical genital, like your penis, is actually your noodle, is basically numb by the sensation of your pants. So it quite likely could lead to a lot of problems in the bed. You might have numb your genitals to the actual act with a condom, and given that the condom is basically a physical barrier to the touch, unless you buy very sensitive, like almost one-to-one skin, it still might not be enough. So there's one thing to consider, which also scared me in a way. Not necessarily watching porn, which I understand the implications, but I believe my brain is horny regardless. So I mean, I can separate the act, like the actual fictional act, to the actual act, and both sides are still very good. I mean, I cannot change my monkey brain, but if you're really susceptible to even masturbate or have moral moral dilemmas, moral panics with this, do not pursue further. That's one thing. But either way, is try to stop masturbating frequently, because you might have numbed your pain numb your penis for the actual act, and that's something that I don't wish upon my worst enemy. And the sexual act might be physically exhausting. That's one thing I didn't expect. I mean, I kind of knew that it was, but I didn't expect it to be like actually feel it, live through it. So that's one thing to consider. And again, my getting to the point that I've been making in the last few seconds of the video is that if you want the relationship as the ultimate validation for the provision of sex, you might get a moral panic by doing this pay to play. And if so, you have more than bigger problems than just losing your virginity alone. Regardless, good luck and Godspeed. Enjoy your sexuality. This is one of the many things, many decisions you should make as a man or woman for that matter, if you're seeing this. But as I stated before, first one is you gotta have your entire body, again, mind and body, soul and sexuality in the right place. Because if one doubts the other, you have a lot of problems. And that requires a lot of introspection from your part. Because unless you flaunt this on the internet very in a very derogatory manner, which I've seen, uh, no one's gonna judge you. I mean, but if you do, just be realistic and be honest with yourself what you want and enjoy.